Attack on Titan, the final season, part 3, gets a 1-hour premiere. Studio Wit confirms the release date for both the movie and season 2 of Spy X Family, and Sword Art Online Scherzo of Deep Night underperforms in its opening domestic weekend. That and more on this episode of the Otaku Experience. Welcome to the Otaku Experience. I'm your host, Israel King, and first things first, I just want to say thank you to everybody who watched, commented, liked, even checked out of curiosity, but dipped out in the first 30 seconds because they realized they weren't interested. Either way, I just want to thank everybody for all the support, all the love, all the positive feedback or negative feedback, any type of feedback on the first episode of the Otaku Experience. You know, it was my first time doing a show like that. I've never done something like that before. I've streamed before, and it was very similar to that, except there was no chat to bounce off of. I can't do my usual bits because it doesn't play the same in a video as it would if it were live. So I just want to thank you guys for giving patience and just love and support through that. I'm excited for this second episode because I think that this is going to be a much better episode and a much better flowing show, because I'm a lot more prepared this time because I know what type of rhythm there's going to be. I think you guys are going to see major improvement in the show. Hopefully we can continue doing the show. Hopefully people keep watching. You're going to see improvement over the next few weeks, next few months, as we kind of get a grip into what our flow is. But I think that this episode is going to be pretty great. So here's how the Otaku Experience works. If this is your first time watching, I go over a bunch of stories that dropped over the past week, and then at the end of all of those stories, I'm going to take comments and questions. Now, how do you get a comment or question to be read by yours truly on the Otaku Experience? Well, it's very, very easy. All you have to do is go into the comment section of this video because it's not live, so there's no super chats or anything like that. Simply just write a comment there and keep it appropriate, because if it's not appropriate, I don't moderate the Burr Network YouTube channel, and I've seen them get rid of some stuff if it's not good. So make sure it's all kosher, make sure it's all appropriate, and then who knows, maybe I'll check out your comment or question in the next episode. All right, with that being said, we're gonna cut all the slack. We're gonna waste no time and hop right into the first story of the day. And that is this. Collar X Malice gets a summer release date. Now, Collar X Malice, if you don't know, is an adaptation, I believe, of a game. And what they're doing is they have two movies, and they've cut the movie in half, and they're releasing it in the same year. Kind of like the original idea or the original premise concept of the Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. They were going to release in two parts of the year, but the same year, and they were kind of like a two-parter event. They're doing the same thing here. My original thought is, well, why not just do like a series? Because most anime series are about 20 episodes, or 20 minutes a piece, 12 episodes. You add that up, it's roughly a little over 4 hours. Why not just chop your movie, or not even chop your movie, put the movie back together and just release it in 20-minute increments? But whatever, I love the theatrical experience, so anything like that can get, you know, I'm excited. But the thing is, they haven't announced a American release date. They've only announced the Japan release date, which means that odds are we're going to get this in the fall, if not early next year, which is very sad to me, because I think that this, just out of concept, I want to see this because it sounds really cool. But anyways, this comes to us from Anime News Network, and they say, the official website for Gekijoban, Collar X Malice Deep Cover, the two-part theatrical anime adaptation of Idea Factory's Otomate brand's Collar X Malice game, revealed on Sunday that the two films will open on May 26th and June 23rd, respectively. The website also revealed two more cast members. Kaide Hondo will voice the heroine Ichika Hoshino, unvoiced in the original game, and Katsuyuki Konishi, I'm so sorry guys, there's so many. If I butcher your name, I'm so sorry, will voice an original character named Mitsuru Sowa. Additionally, the staff revealed that the films will tell an original story of another incident that takes place on the other side of the X-Day incident. I have no idea what that is because I have not read the show, or not read the show. I have not played the game. I don't know anything about this. I'm just excited because of the concept. I think it's cool. Studio Dean is animating the film and Avex Pictures is distributing. Mai Hanamura is credited for the original character designs. Kizu will perform the theme song Ningen X Shikaku, or No Longer Human. And once again, that comes to us from Anime News Network. And yeah, like I said before, I haven't played the game. I know nothing about the game. I am purely excited for this out of concept. The fact that they're like, yeah, man, we're going to release these on back-to-back months, a little under a month apart, because it's May 26th and then June 23rd. So it's about, what, 28 days in there instead of the full 31 or whatever. I think that that's super interesting in concept. I am so excited to see how that works, because, like, how do you make sure, if they're getting theatrical releases, how do you make sure that one doesn't eat the box office of another? Does this not bode well for the confidence in how big they think that this movie could be in Japan? I think that's very interesting, because, I mean, if the second one comes out, is the first one still going to be playing in theaters? And if it is, how long into the second film's release is the first film going to still play? Like 3 weeks into the second film's release, can you still go see the first one? I like, that's very interesting to me. And then if the first one leaves theaters, will it go immediately to streaming, or how is this going to work? This is so interesting to me, because I'm like, knowing what I know about the theatrical and the streaming industry in Japan, this just sounds fascinating, and I can't wait to see it. I wonder if they'll do the same thing in America, if they'll release these. I hope so. That'd be super cool. Just do the same thing over here, because I could see that working over here. You know, these small Fathom event projects that they do with anime. They do it every year. Stuff like Ghibli Fest. GKIDS always releases some films. Shinkai's releasing Suzume in, I believe, next month. Wow, I'm super excited for that. But doing this, I think, you know, they don't make too much money. I mean, you know, if it's a new project, usually they'll perform in like the top 15 at the box office, and then they'll kind of peter out by the second weekend. So this could definitely work in America, but in Japan, where it's a much bigger anime market, where anime can become, you know, your number one film of all time in Japan, it seems very, very interesting to me. So we're going to keep an eye out on this when this actually releases, and see how the box office kind of plays out and how they plan on doing this. I think that is super interesting. Anyways, guys, what are your thoughts on the Collar X Malice two-parter getting release dates? Are you excited for this? Have you played the game? Are you going to be watching this? Are you interested in only the concept like me, or are you not interested whatsoever? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Okay, we're going to move on to the second story of the day. Now, we talk about Studio Ghibli in very high regard, you know, for good reason. Everybody loves Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, I believe is how they pronounce it in Japan. I think it's Ghibli, but whatever. We pronounce it Ghibli over here because there's a G on there. Should have put a J if they wanted. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Studio Ghibli, obviously, is well known for good reason for all their amazing films. Now, I'm still working through the Ghibli films because we didn't really watch them growing up. So I've had to discover them, most of them, on my own. So, you know, 2 years ago, I watched Howl's Moving Castle for the first time, and I just rewatched it this past year at Ghibli Fest, and it's become a really fun tradition to watch it, you know, like once a year, because they'll release it in theaters for like, you know, $8 tickets, because it's cheap and it's a Fathom event, and then you go and you just rewatch Howl's Moving Castle. They do that for a bunch of their movies, like Ponyo, or My Neighbor Totoro, or Princess Mononoke, or like this, Spirited Away. Now, Spirited Away is very interesting. It's not my favorite Ghibli film, and I know that's, you know, interesting to a lot of people. They're like, because Spirited Away is the Studio Ghibli film that won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. And that kind of, when I say like, oh yeah, it's fine, usually people are like, what? Like, I think people can understand when you say it's not your favorite Ghibli film. Like, currently my favorite Ghibli film is Howl's Moving Castle. And I think that's usually one of the big contenders for, you know, the big number one spot of your Studio Ghibli ranking. But the fact that I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's all right. I like Spirited Away, but yeah, that's about it. I've only seen it once, and I really have no desire to watch it again. That kind of always irks people a little bit. They might not say it, but you can see it on their face. They're like, lesser human. And I'm like, oh no. But anyways, Spirited Away, obviously, huge cultural phenomenon, huge hit, one of the biggest milestones in the history of anime and theatrically released anime films. So it was inevitable with all of the adaptations that they're doing in Japan. It was inevitable that one or another Studio Ghibli film was going to get a play adaptation, and Spirited Away has gotten one. Not only has it gotten one, but it's already been on for a while, and they have actually filmed it, and they're going to be releasing it in American theaters. Listen to this. This comes to us from Anime News Network. GKIDS announced on Wednesday that it has licensed the film performances of Spirited Away live on stage, the stage play adaptation of Hayao Miyazaki's and Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away film, will screen them in North America beginning this spring. The stage play ran in Japan with 2 different sets of cast members. GKIDS will screen 2 different film performances, each featuring a different set of the cast. Spirited Away was previously the highest-grossing Japanese film worldwide until Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train, surpassed that record. Spirited Away remains the only non-English language title to win the Academy Awards Best Animated Feature Award, which it earned in 2003. There's some fun trivia for you, all sprinkled and peppered throughout there. Wow. Very interesting. Now, I'm going to be real. I'm not all that excited for this. I might check it out. It depends on what I'm doing. And like, if I'm busy that weekend, I won't go out of my way to see it, which I usually go out of my way to see, like the Ghibli Fest movies. I probably won't make an effort to see this unless it's like a weekend where I literally have nothing going on, like family and friends are out of town and I'm just sitting at home bored. There's nothing to watch on streaming or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let me just go on a Saturday matinee to go see Spirited Away live on stage. Do I have to see it twice? Is one cast better than the other? What's the difference between these 2 casts? Why are there 2 casts? Am I supposed to have a preference, or do I just Russian roulette this and go to the theater and see which cast I get? Where I sit there and I go, oh no, I got the bad cast. Could you imagine that? I'm sorry. Okay. Let me calm down, because I'm getting a little facetious here. Sorry, it's been a very long day. They keep dropping these stories as I'm trying to organize my notes. I've been preparing notes all week for this. And then like the day that I'm like, let me film the Otaku Experience, they're like, oh yeah, let's drop a bunch of other stories. And so I have to restructure and cut out and add in new stories. I'm sorry, you don't want to hear about any of this. I am not that excited for this, simply because I don't see what the purpose is, I guess. And I guess you could say that about anything. What's the purpose of any adaptation ever? Okay, fine, sure. But it's almost like I don't see how they would in any way elevate any aspect of the original film on a play instead of in the animation. Because the animated film, even though I think it's just okay, I don't absolutely love it, it is incredibly creative and incredibly beautiful to look at and fascinating. And there's so many cool concepts and characters, and the world is great. How are they going to do this on stage without it looking utterly goofy? And maybe that's the magic of it. Maybe that's the magic of the theater. I don't know. I really don't know. I'll have to see a trailer. I'll have to see a trailer to see if I want to see it. Because if I see that, you know, the guy at the end, I forgot his name, but the guy who goes on the rampage at the end of the movie, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I haven't spoiled anything for you because you don't know what I'm talking about. But if that looks utterly goofy in like the trailer or something, I'm not going to see it. But if it looks cool and they're like using, you know, Broadway or not Broadway, but they're using their theatrics, their harnesses, the costumes, the set design, the lighting, all in very interesting and unique ways to maximize the experience of seeing this as a play, then I'll be interested to check it out. But other than that, I really have no interest. All it comes down to really is I need to see a trailer. With that being said, what do you guys think about the Spirited Away getting almost had an anime adaptation, a play adaptation, not just that, 2 different casts. I almost said 2 adaptations. I am, wow. Wowie, wow. Let me just, I have focus pills here. This is not sponsored, by the way. I rarely take these. I only take these when my ADHD is skyrocketing, and I feel that right now. So I'm going to take this live. I'm not editing this out, Rob. Sorry. Let me just, wow. Oh yeah. Okay. Now. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, what are your thoughts? I'm moving on. Oh, this is so bad. Okay. Next up, let's get on to the third story of the day. Let's get this over with. Oh man, wowzers! How y'all doing? We had this whole big talk at the beginning, like, oh man, this is gonna be the best show in the history of YouTube, and look at me now. Wow, irony, isn't that great? Okay, so obviously in 2022 we had some huge anime, mainly being anime adaptations. That's a story for another day, but they were anime adaptations. Things like Spy Family, things like Chainsaw Man, and the year before we had Jujutsu Kaisen. You know, the thing is, those anime have become so popular and so mainstream that they have actually appeared on the New York Times monthly graphic book and manga bestseller list. Take a look at this. This once again comes to us from Anime News Network, because of course it does. 6 manga volumes ranked on the New York Times monthly graphic books and manga bestseller list, released in early February. The manga on this month's list includes number 5, Tatsuki Fujimoto's Chainsaw Man Volume 1, number 9, Naoya Matsumoto's Kaiju number 8 Volume 5, number 10, Tatsuki Fujimoto's Chainsaw Man Volume 2, number 12, Spy X Family Volume 1, number 13, Chainsaw Man Volume 3, and number 15, Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 18. The first volume of Tatsuki Fujimoto's Chainsaw Man ranked at number 3 in January that month. The first volume of Tatsuya Endo's Spy X Family ranked at 11. The 18th volume of Gigi's, Gege? Gosh, wow. Jujutsu Kaisen ranked at 12. The second volume of Chainsaw Man ranked at number 14. Okay, this is very interesting. I think it's interesting that that Chainsaw Man Volume 1 ranked at number 5, Volume 3 ranked at 13, and Volume 2 ranked at 14. You're telling me you went from there's a chunk of people that went from Volume 1 to Volume 3? How is Volume 3 up higher than Volume 2? Anyways, this is obviously bodes well, like I keep saying, and what the entire pitch for this show was, that the influence and the grasp on pop culture that the anime industry has is forever tightening, and that hand is forever getting bigger. The influence is huge. The fact that 6 manga volumes ranked on the top bestseller list for graphic novels and manga, dude, that's up there with Marvel, that's up there with DC, that's up there with things like Invincible or The Boys, or different types of comics, and sadly no Transformers comics, sadly, but different types of comics. The fact that we have six volumes popping in there, that's outstanding. It just goes to reinforce how impactful the anime how impactful anime and manga are becoming in our pop culture. There's going to be a time when all you old farts, I'm just kidding, I love you guys, where all of you people that didn't grow up with this being as big pop culture are going to pass on to bigger and greater things in whatever awaits us after this. And in 20, 30 years, everybody's going to be indoctrinated in like the manga and anime agenda. Now, wow. Okay. It's almost like comic books and graphic novels, back in the day. Except this, I feel, is going to have a much deeper impact simply because of the fact that you can get these digitally, whereas back in the day you had to get everything physically. And also, this is encompassing everything. It seems to me like this is the next big field. I see why a lot of movie studios are doing it wrong, but I see why they're harvesting on this crop, because, dude, there is so much potential here that I think in the next 20, 30 years, whether or not the comic book film has died out, I think that it'll be much lesser, and instead we will have a surge of manga and anime adaptations. We're seeing video games come and take the rise. Comic books had their time. Video games are coming now. You see that with The Last of Us or the Sonic movie or upcoming Super Mario Brothers movie. And I think up next is anime and manga. I think that, give video games a good 20 years like movies had, or like comic book movies had, and then we'll see the next thing surge up. Right now, we're in our streak of bad anime and manga adaptations, and it's leading everybody to say like, "Oh, this will never work. Oh, it'll never work." Do you know what people said about the comic book movies before they landed it with like Michael Keaton's Batman or like Superman the movie or X-Men or the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie? Before we hit those streaks, the majority of people would say, "Why are you doing this? These are bad movies. These are bad adaptations. These are never gonna work." And look at it now. Biggest thing at the box office. When a show comes out that's based on a comic book, it's usually one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing that's airing at the time. Look at video game adaptations. For years, for decades, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible." What happens? Sonic the Hedgehog comes out. Arcane comes out. Pokemon comes out. And now Super Mario Brothers is about to come out. Last of Us is out right now. These things elevating the material and broadcasting it to a different audience that's proving all those naysayers wrong. And I think that right now we're in that infancy stage where Hollywood is trying to adapt these anime and manga, and they're still trying to figure out what's the best way to go about this. Do we lean into the goofiness of that world? Do we try to make it modern? Do we make it more Western to apply to Western audiences, or do we leave it in its Japanese? There's so many things that they're trying to figure out right now, whereas with comic books and then video games, they eventually found that balance. They haven't found that balance yet with anime and manga. And so this is just going to show that, wow, that was a tangent. This is just going to show how big that influence is and how this isn't going to stop. We're just going to keep on going. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. With that being said, guys, what are your thoughts on that? This is crazy to me. I mean, it's not really, but it is at the same time. I feel like a prophet. Everybody doubted me. But here I am now. Anyways, what are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. Okay. Now, this next topic is very personal to me. As you guys know, there's hair on my mic. As you guys know, I love Sword Art Online. It's my favorite thing ever. You know, I have 2 Asuna figures that you can't see off right there. I have Lifa. I have behind me, I have Yu-Gi-Oh, Alice, and then my whole mangas. I have 2 mangas. That's the entire Aincrad arc. I have part of the Mother's Rosario arc. My mom bought it for me, don't ask. She was like, "Let me just get you volume 2 and nothing else." And then I have the light novels after the Alicization anime ended, and I have the first 3 progressive novels, and then my Platinum Collector's Edition, my SAO Bibles, which I might show on another day, if it's a slow news week. I love Sword Art Online. So, like I said, Sword Art Online Progressive is the new book series coming out by Reki Kawahara, and basically he's going back to the first arc of Sword Art Online, and he's expanding it. He's making it bigger. You know, he's going into all the details, because one of the biggest criticisms of the Aincrad arc is that it was too small. It was too short. The series is called Sword Art Online, but in the anime, it was like 13 episodes, and it can fit the entirety of the arc into this one manga book. This is ridiculous, Reki. Now, personally, I never had a huge, big old problem with this. I always thought, what's the issue? You know, a good story well told, no matter how long it is great. Now, I can understand wanting more of something you like. I can get that. I think we all relate to that, you know? We all, every time they leave us with something good, we're always like, "No, give me more. Go back. Do another one. Give us more." If it's bad, they don't ask for it. And so I think that Reki hearing people asking for more, it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. Do I think that he should have gone back and done SAO Progressive as an entire series? Yes and no. I think that he should have done what he's been doing in the later arcs, and that's that every time a new arc comes, he always flashes back to something in Aincrad. You know, in the Gun Gale arc, we flashed back to see something that happened, a big dispute that happened between Laughing Coffin and the front lines, and how Kirito is now dealing with this PTSD from killing people in that fight. You go to Ordinal Scale, where that entire movie hinges on the fact that the villain lost his daughter in the game Sword Art Online. You know, he does that where he goes back and he he expands the world while also doing it, and I believe, in a very natural way. So now we have SAO Progressive, and this first book, I've reviewed it on my channel. If you want to see my full in-depth thoughts on this, I keep knocking over these post-its, whatever. If you want to see my full in-depth thoughts on this book, you can go to my channel, but I'll just say I thought it was okay. The first half of this book is pretty solid, actually. It's pretty fun. The second half of this book is kind of mid. Now, they made a movie. They've been adapting the books into movies lately. So we had SAO Progressive Aria of a Starless Night that released in December of 2021 in America, and I believe in October 2021 in Japan. And I really liked that movie. I liked it at first when I first saw it. I liked it a little more the second time, and I've come to really, really like that movie. I think it's very fun. It's very tightly paced. They introduced characters that I really like, and I think they actually improved upon the book. And I think that there are things that you can take from that. Well, not everything completely gels well with me, knowing that he wants to make this now canon because there's things that he changes a little bit, but to me, I'm like, no, that's not how it was, Reki, don't do that, please. Asuna and Kirito didn't mean that they met here, stop. But he's just doing his own thing, and that's fine. So as long as he keeps it as like, hey, this is like a separate timeline, this is like a kind of a soft reboot of SAO, that's fine, as long as he's not trying to force it into the mainline canon, until he started trying to force it into the mainline canon. Now, we get to this. I say all that to preface this. Last weekend, I went out to see Sword Art Online Progressive Scherzo of Deep Night, the sequel to Sword Art Online Progressive Aria of a Starless Night. And it brings me no happiness to say that I didn't really like it. I did not really have a good time. Now, this is going to be spoiler-free in case... well, nobody saw it because it bombed. We'll talk about that later. But this is going to be spoiler-free, and so you can listen to me talk about this. It's not going to be a rant. I'm going to try not to rant. There'll probably be a few rantisms in here. But I'm also going to try to keep it short because we have other topics to go into. I'm going to review it fully on my own channel. I'm seeing it again on Friday, and I'm super excited about that. And I'll have better thoughts to talk about it this weekend on my channel. So I went to go see it, and I was excited, but I also was kind of nervous, simply because of the fact that I didn't see much marketing for this one like I saw for Aria of a Starless Night. And Aria of a Starless Night didn't even have that much opening, or that much marketing, because it opened to only $1 million. Now that's still a really good opening, for that type of movie. But I was expecting more marketing, from a film that not just me, a lot of people really liked that first movie. SAO was in a really good spot with fans. You had Alicization, the anime. People loved that. You had Ordinal Scale, which people thought was pretty good. You had Aria of a Starless Night, which people thought were good. He's going back and doing Progressive, which people have been loving. Sword Art Online's in a really good place with the fan base. I don't see why this doesn't really have any marketing behind it. It's one of the biggest anime brands. I don't see why they didn't really market it. So that kind of made me nervous. And then I saw not the Rotten Tomato score, the score on my anime list for this movie, and it was in the mid to low 7s at the time. I don't know what it is now, but at the time, that's what it was. And like we said before, my anime list is broken in terms of ratings. And if it's a 7, usually that means it's like an average, mediocre movie. It's like a 5 out of 10. Take your score on my anime list, take a 7, bump it down to the spot of 5, and then everything else is the same way. And so I was kind of nervous. So I go and I sit down in the theater, and I didn't really like it. I thought that there were good moments. This film leveled up Mito to the point that she is now one of my favorite SAO characters. I'm trying to find a statue of her that's affordable, because I think they released statues of her for a very short period of time after the first movie, and now they're all super expensive, so I'm trying to find something that's affordable so I could add her to my collection. But I just thought most of the film, I was just sitting there like, why is this story being told? What relevance does this have to anything? And that wouldn't be a criticism if I had a good time with the movie. Like, you can't say, oh, well, not every movie has to be necessary. And that's true. You're right. Not every movie has to be necessary. But when I feel like something falls so short of just good quality, it's so much easier to just point out the fact that, yeah, this was unnecessary. Why did you even attempt to tell this when personally I didn't see really any redeeming qualities out of it other than more Mito? Because she was great. I love her now. She's great. I thought that what this does to the Sword Art Online canon, I sound like Rob talking about freaking Star Trek. What this does, let me get all philosophical here. What this does to the Sword Art Online canon, to me, is awful. What this does, and I've seen the Aincrad arc, the anime. I've seen it about, I want to say like 5 times now. I've read the manga once, and so I know that arc forward and back. And I've heard the changes that have been made. I've heard people talk about it. I'm not really a type of person who goes back and reads things that are the same as before. The reason why I'm still reading the SAO progressive books is because they're changing them and they're adapting them for the movies. I'm not really a fan of like going back and reading a 1-to-1 adaptation unless there's like a major difference, which there isn't really with Sword Art Online. So I haven't gone back, but if I ever want to, my Bible's back there. So what they've done in this movie is they've done so many things that have repercussions that never come up in the original Sword Art Online story of Aincrad. And Israel, you'd be like, Israel, well, do they necessarily need to? At the scale of the ramifications of what happens in this movie, yes. And I'm not talking about like Thanos snapping his fingers. It's nothing like that. I'm talking about personal conflict between characters. You know, whether that's the relationship between Asuna and Kirito, or the relationship between Asuna and Mito, and the relationship between the two big front lines groups. I simply don't understand how this got past so many levels of people, including Reki, who I haven't gotten to this point in the books. I haven't gotten to the floor with this cover. So as far as I know, this is 100% accurate. But assuming that it's not, I don't know how this got to Reki, and Reki said, yeah, that's good, release it. Because I'm like, even if this was good, I'd be able to forgive it some more. But this doesn't feed into what comes after at all. And I'm trying not to spoil things. I'm sitting here and I'm like, 1, I don't know why the story is being told. 2, they dilly-dally for the first 40 minutes of this movie. And then about an hour in, or about 40 minutes in to the last hour, it's all decent stuff, I would say. Or it's at least okay. And then, you know, a great Mito stuff here and there. They dilly-dally for the first 40 minutes. This really has no relevance to the world of SAO in terms of the story they're telling, and the stuff that they do have that does add to the story of SAO. It doesn't just add, it now overlaps to the point that it's conflicting. And to me, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I know this relationship between Asuna and Kirito inside and out. I know all the milestones in their relationships. I know when Asuna started to feel this way about Kirito. I know when Kirito started to feel this way about Asuna. And I know how they saw each other when they first met, or when they first had the real big time together in the original Aincrad arc, which was them going to, solve the case of the killing in the safe zones. But here, I try to excuse it. What they're doing with Asuna and Kirito's relationship is they are developing it so much before anything that takes place in the original story that I'm like, there's no way that you can now write these characters in the same way when you get to that point in Progressive. There's no way you can read Progressive as like an expanded version of the Aincrad arc and then just continue with the normal stuff. There's no way that you can watch these two movies and intercut them in to the anime. It breaks my mind thinking about this. I don't know how this happened. Now, if they wanted to come out up front and say, yo, we're rebooting SAO. This is a soft reboot, kind of like how Bumblebee was a soft reboot to the Transformers franchise. We're soft rebooting SAO with this. Boom. new movies expanding the franchise, expanding the original arc. More time with the characters, a retelling that's very similar, but isn't the exact same. I would be like, okay, sure, that's fine. I'm sad because I love my Aincrad arc, but that's fine. With them trying to say, oh man, an expanded version of Aincrad that adds more to the characters, and I guess it adds more to the characters. Is that a good or a bad thing? That's up for debate, because it seems like I'm in a very small minority on feeling this way, because a lot of people are enjoying this movie, and my Twitter feed has been filled up with people being like, oh my gosh, I loved it, wow, it's so great. And I'm like, I'm so happy for you. I don't know how you feel this way, but I'm happy for you. I guess it really bothers me. I'm excited to see it again on Friday, to see how it gels with me the second time. Maybe I'll forgive certain things. Maybe I'll just relax and let the movie wash over me. Maybe I'll take a nap during the first 40 minutes. Maybe I'll show up 40 minutes late and just enjoy the last hour and give the film a good old 6 out of 10. But with that first 40 minutes in there, which is a little under half the movie, this film, that first 40 minutes is garbage. It's horrible. It's really, really bad. Anyways, this turned into a rant. I said it wouldn't. Anyways, have you seen Sword Art Online Scherzo of Deep Night? Probably not, because it bombed. Like I said, we'll get into that here in a bit. Yeah. Man. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me try to recover after that. Wow. All right, guys, with that being said, let's move on to our next story of the day. I expelled a lot of energy with that. Wow. Hopefully the rest of this will be a little more focused, because I'm not as energetic now. I've gotten all of it out. So, Demon Slayer. I know it. You know it. I love it. You love it. It's great. It's peak shonen. What can I say? Season 2 was amazing. And so all of us are awaiting season 3 of Demon Slayer. And they've confirmed that season 3 is coming to us. They confirmed that a while back. And they confirmed that they are turning it into a movie, in the sense that they are taking the final 2 episodes of the Entertainment District arc, and they're taking the first, I believe, hour-long episode of the Village arc, and they're putting them together and throwing that in movie theaters to see what people think. And I personally would think that it wouldn't do all that well, but boy, was I wrong! Because look at this. This comes to us from Anime Corner. And they say, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba to the Swordsmith Village special earned around 8.7 million USD during the opening weekend in Japan. The special screening consists of the final 2 episodes of the Entertainment District arc and the first episode of the Swordsmith Village arc, beginning on February 3rd. It has since attracted over 813,000 viewers. The US premiere is happening on February 18th in Los Angeles, and it will include a special stage greeting. The first episode of the Swordsmith Village arc also marks the beginning of the 3rd season of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba TV anime. The anime will premiere in April of this year. It's worth noting that Sword Art Online. Wow, it's still plaguing my brain! It's worth noting that Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba to the Swordsmith Village is now the 2nd biggest February opening of all time in Japanese history. Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King still holds the top spot, and it is the 2nd biggest opening of the year, with the first being the first slam dunk. Once again, that comes to us from Anime Corner. And yeah, like I said, with, Suzume last week, One Piece last week, what did we talk about earlier today? Israel, quit brain farting. It's Chainsaw Man and Spy Family, going up on the best-selling list. All this goes to show is how big anime is. The fact that people will go watch 2 episodes of a show that they've already seen, and then the premiere of a new show months in advance. Heck, actually, you know what? I'd probably do that. Never mind. Okay, I was gonna rant about this and make it all stupid and say but the anime industry still pulled it together. I'm actually now that I say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'd probably go do that too. Like if I could see the first episode of Demon Slayer season 3, 2 months before it comes out, I'd do that. Let's be real. I'd do that. You'd probably do that too. Come on. Rob has watched Picard season 3, 3 times before it released publicly. You're telling me that you wouldn't go see this once, even in a movie theater. I tell you what, if they did all of Picard season 3 again in the theater, Rob would go see all of the episodes again. I promise you that would be the case. So all I can say is that this just echoes what I keep saying, what the mantra of this show is. The anime industry is just closing its grip on pop culture so slowly that we're starting not to notice. Sorry, that was Andor. They're closing their grip on pop culture bit by bit every day. And yeah, eventually we will all be in a huge chokehold. With that being said, guys, what are your thoughts on that? Are you going to go see it if they release it in America? I don't know if they're releasing it in America. I know they said Los Angeles, but I don't know if they're releasing it anywhere else. Anyways, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Okay, guys, back to the Sword Art Online news. Wow, I know. So, Sword Art Online Progressive Scherzo of Deep Night. Like I said before, I don't really like the movie. I'm seeing it again on Friday, and I'm excited to see it. But here's the big kicker. And I'm just baffled by this because this is such a fast turnaround, is that the Blu-ray is already about to come out. How is this happening? Like the first movie's Blu-ray took over a year, I believe. Like a year and a half to come out. Not a year and a half. What am I thinking? Yeah, it took like 9 months. Yeah, okay, not a year and a half, but like 3/4 of a year to come out. This Blu-ray release date is so much faster. What the heck? Listen to this. Sword Art Online SAO Progressive Scherzo of Deep Night movie unveiled the Blu-ray/DVD cover by Kento Toya along with May 24th release date. The release will include both Japanese and English subtitles. The second movie in the Progressive series premiered on September 10th after being delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I guess it's not that big of a turnaround considering that it came out in September. And now they're getting it. You know what? Actually, that it makes sense because I forget that the first Progressive movie came out so much closer to the Japanese release date, whereas this one was like, 5 months later. So I guess that makes sense. But still, I mean, I didn't expect that headline to come out today or earlier this week. What do you guys think? Are you guys gonna buy the Blu-ray? I'm not going to, simply because anime Blu-rays are so freaking expensive. If I bought every Sword Art Online Blu-ray, and I almost bought that limited edition. That limited edition was like $500. But if I bought every Sword Art Online Blu-ray, I'd be minimum dropping like $250 if I wanted like good quality stuff. I could just stream it. It's on Crunchyroll. Everything's on Crunchyroll. I can watch it there. Leave me alone. But are you guys gonna buy it? Does this interest you at all? Are you tired of me talking about Sword Art Online? Okay, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Okay. Now, this is the big one, or one of the big ones. This is the big news. And that is that, like Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan is huge. Huge, 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 huge. One of the biggest, most anticipated anime coming out this year. And, they've divided the final season into 3 parts, and then they took that third part and they're chopping it in half. So it's really 4 parts. I don't care anymore. This isn't even Attack on Titan, the final season anymore. Part 2 of this will be the final season. The first part of the final season is actually season 4. Last year was season 5. This year I'm calling it season 6, part 1 and 2. You can't stop me anymore. That's what they've done to me. They've broken me. You can't call something a final season and then release it over a period of 3.5 years. You're crazy. That being said, they've announced that we're getting a 1-hour-long premiere for this show when it airs in March. That's exceptional. I'm very excited. This comes to us from Anime News Network. NHK announced on Thursday that the first half of Attack on Titan, the final season, part 3, will air as a 1-hour special on March 3rd, with the second half airing later in the year. Now, I hope that this means that the first half is not a previously on Attack on Titan, and then the second half is actually the first episode. Please, Mappa, if that's what you're thinking, I'm asking you to rethink this and just backtrack it. Everybody will forgive you by then, but if you do this bullcrap, then we all open up Crunchyroll or Verve or whatever you watch it on, and we see that the first half is all recap of everything that came before. Well, I guess in concept, it's not a bad idea. We're going to be mad regardless. Don't do it. Please. Okay. That being said, I'm excited for this. What can I say? I don't even want to talk about Attack on Titan anymore. Let me know when it's over. I'm tired of just saying I'm excited to see how it'll end, because it never ends. I'm so angry this show. It's the second show. I'm not allowed to be angry yet. We got to at least get 10 of these in, Israel. Calm it down. Calm it down. Calm it down. Breathe. Breathe. Don't get angry. Don't get angry. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. But I'm about to get angry again. Let's just be real. Okay, so once again, we're back with the Sword Art Online news. This has been a really big week for Sword Art Online. I know, they wait for the movie to come out and then they start dropping all this headlines all over the place. I'm making my notes for this. I'm like, there's all this bullcrap. There was SAO stories I had to cut out of this. This is ridiculous. Okay, so Sword Art Online, they've canceled one of the games. I forget, I don't play the games because they're dumb. But they've canceled one of the games and everybody's in a big old fuss about that. But it looks like they may have just replaced that game. Now listen to this. This comes to us from comicbook.com. Sword Art Online Anomaly Quest is a mysterious new project that's being teased as not only a visual experience, but an experience project, according to the series announcement on the official website and Twitter account. Kicking off in Tokyo Shinjuku area later this April, there's not much known about what this new project will entail outside of a new teaser revealing that Kirito and Asuna will be the villains this time around. So, I'm not really interested. This is going to be another video game. It's not going to be an anime. It's not going to be a movie. This has really no weight on anything major, right? Now, if you're one of those people that calls the mobile games like, oh, but the game I play on my phone, what is it called? Integral factor. Oh man, it's so relevant to the plot. No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, if anything, Reki might take a character and he might throw them into the thing because they play well with the audience on the game. That's about it. Nothing major. There's no plot elements. There's no storytelling. This holds no lore relevance. Okay, and that's fine. That's fine. No one said it had to be a good game. Okay, if you like the game, that's fine. I don't. Now, this does not interest me in the slightest because I believe that this is most likely a game. And it's just going to be a game from a different perspective. Oh no, Asuna and Kirito have, I don't know why they have red eyes. They look like demons. They've succumbed to the dark side. I don't know what the freak is going on. Sword Art Online has become so crazy. Maybe this is in the underworld and it's like, oh my gosh, what if Stacia and Kirito, went evil and then they got possessed by the dark territory. I don't know what the heck's happening. Sword Art Online, man. Wow. Keep doing you, man. You're expanding in ways that I couldn't even fathom was the case. Wow. Love you guys. Anyways, what are your thoughts on this? If this is a game, are you going to play it? Are you interested? Maybe this is like a mod or like an expansion thing that they're adding to an existing game. Maybe this is its own game. Maybe I'm completely wrong and maybe this is the next movie. I don't know. Whatever that is, they said that there's an announcement coming out. So we shall see when it comes out. If maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is going to be the biggest thing since, I don't know, anime. But what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, guys. Let's get to the last two stories of the day. Wow, I'm exhausted. Are you exhausted? Are you tired of listening to me? I would be, because quick side tangent. I've kind of been under the weather lately. Like not like sick, but like I've had a cough. I've had some snifflies. I think it's the weather. I think it's just most likely allergies. But yeah, it's not been fun. I can't really breathe through my nose. And I use this Equate nasal spray because I have terrible nostrils. But, it is what it is. It's ruining my sleep, as you can tell. Okay, so this is one of the biggest anime that came out in 2022. Of course, it's going to win Anime of the Year at the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I don't think that it's the best anime of the year, but you'd be an idiot to think that it's not going to win. You can basically, you can predict the Anime Awards. When we get close to that, I will do my predictions and then we'll see how close I am to being right. I'll be completely right, just so you know. Okay. So, Spy Family. everybody's talking ever since the first season ended. What's the deal with season 2? Then Wit was like, yo, we're going to also do a movie. And then everybody was like, oh, so there's a movie and a season 2 coming? Okay, I guess that's the trend with anime now. Everybody's doing a movie. So we've been waiting, since Spy Family ended, about a month and a half. What's the update? What's the update on that? When can we expect these things? And the Wit co-founder just came out and gave us some decent information on when we can expect these things. This comes to us from CBR. Wit Studio has given a tentative release date for Spy X Family's new movie and second season. As reported by Red Bean Anime, Tetsuya Nakatake, one of the co-founders of the animation studio, said that the production team is hard at work and hopes to release both season 2 and the new original movie sometime in the fall this year. Nakatake and a few other members of the production team for Spy X Family attended the 2023 Taipei International Comics and Animation Festival, which took place on January 27, 2023. The team also shared some behind-the-scenes facts from the first season, which concluded on December 24th, 2022. Okay, now this is interesting. So they're anticipating that both the movie and the second season are going to be in the fall. Now that leads me to ask, what? like you're not going to wait for the movie to, perform at the box office, come out in America. What is the film relevant to the story are we going to go into season 2 and be confused? Because if it airs, it airs simultaneously. We have simulcast, so it airs in Japan and then it airs in America, within a few hours. Are you telling me that season 2 is going to be predicated on the movie? I hope not. I hope that the movie is maybe an anime original thing that is kind of like the My Hero Academia movies, where if you watch it, you have a greater love and appreciation for the world of My Hero Academia, but you don't need it to keep watching the series. Because I've only seen one of the movies and they've released 3 now, and I follow the story just fine. Because they hold no weight. They're just fun little adventures that last about, 100 minutes in the movie theater. If that's the case with this, I'm down. If that's not the case, and it's something like how they did with Mugen Train, where they're literally adapting an arc into the movie, or like with Jujutsu Kaisen 0, where things that are going to come back are in this movie, and they want to release the movie and season 2, the thing that's going to come after it, in the same ballpark of the year. Okay, man, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm going to assume that maybe they're going to release it on, on Crunchyroll. Maybe they'll release it in theaters overseas, but on Crunchyroll over here, maybe. Or maybe, like I said before, maybe it's not relevant to anything. Or, maybe they'll push back, season 2 starting until maybe winter or spring of next year. And so the movie can reign in theaters in America and in Japan all throughout the fall and all throughout the winter. And everybody can go see this. Well, this makes $500 million because it's freaking Spy Family. And it's a phenomenon. Other than that, I don't really get it. I don't really know why they would do that. I see that as the only way that they could do this. I don't see how they could do anything like that. Unless what they do is like with Mugen Train, except it would be at a much smaller rate. They take the Mugen Train movie and they cut it up and they aired that as a 6-episode mini arc on TV for the people who didn't see the movie before season 2 of Demon Slayer aired. If they do that with this, where they release the movie in theaters, but then for us, we get the movie almost in episodic chunks week by week as the first few episodes of season 2. I could see that working, but I also think that, Japanese fans might be upset. You're telling me I just went to go spend, $20 in the theater to watch this movie, and now you just got to release it on Crunchyroll overseas. I don't know why I started an accent, but yeah. I think we need to wait to get more information, because they're still working on them. They're still in the heat, and they don't even have release dates. They just said a season. They're planning them to come out in the fall of this year. So we'll see. I don't really know how that's going to work, but this is why I don't make the big bucks and they do. We'll see what the heck happens. But if this comes out to be the most idiotic and stupid thing ever, that's going to suck. Anyways, guys, what are your thoughts? Let me know about everything you're thinking about this in the comments down below. Are you going to see the movie? Are you excited for season 2? Are you going to skip the movie if it's not mandatory to watch? And you're just going to go straight into season 2? Or are you going to go see the movie because it's Spy Family and you need more in your life? Let me know. Okay, guys. I don't know how these streamers do this. I don't know how John does this. I don't know. How do y'all do this? I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. My content is on my channel is scripted and it's edited, where I know what I'm going to say and I and usually I film it on different days. Like my seasonal reviews, where I film those over the period of like 3 days. You know, I cut it up. I don't know how y'all do this. This is crazy. This is crazy. And it's not even live. Oh man. Like, cause the John Campbell show would only be like halfway over at this point. Wow. Yeah. It really gives appreciation for everything that John does. But anyways, let's get into the final story of the day. And to me, the most depressing story of the day. So we've been talking about Sword Art Online all throughout the day. Progressive, the Blu-ray release. We've been talking about the new Anomaly quest, what I think is most likely going to be a video game, things like that. But let's get back to Scherzo. And the thing about it is, like I said, this released in movie theaters, this past weekend. And so I went to go see it. But like I said, and I this was kind of a side comment in my review, there was no marketing for this movie. At least I didn't see any. That's bad. And not only am I just saying that I think it's bad. Wow, that's a lot better. I'm not going to wear my headphones on these anymore. Not only do I think that it's bad, the numbers prove that it's bad. Take a look at this. This comes to us from Deadline. Crunchyroll opened Sword Art Online Scherzo of Deep Night in 892 locations to a debut of $600K for a per theater average of $681. This is a second film spinoff of the novel, manga, and TV anime franchise about a pair of avatars trapped inside Sword Art Online and D&D style online role-playing game. Now, I didn't look this up. I should have, because that's a really smart idea. But how many theaters did the first film open up to? Let me take a look at this, because if it's the same amount of theaters, this completely negates what I'm about to say. Wow, I just found it. So, the original Sword Art Online Progressive Aria of the Starless Night opened in 840 theaters with a $1,200 per theater average. This film opened in almost 60 more theaters with almost half of the per theater average. When you have a film that people enjoyed, people watched, people liked, like the first film, and then you make a second film of one of the biggest anime franchises that exist, biggest light novel franchises that exist, that has basically become an empire. You know, you have movies, light novels, manga, video games on different consoles. This is an empire of a brand. The fact that nobody saw this movie when it opened in more theater, like do I sound crazy right now? Like, I'm trying to think. How did you mess this up that badly? A1 Pictures, Aniplex. Because you guys made the movie. You guys distributed the movie. Unless there's some other studio that I'm forgetting about. But I'm pretty sure y'all two distributed the movie. Or was it Funimation? But didn't Funimation die? Didn't it die and get destroyed by apprentice? Sorry. But I believe Funimation is no longer a thing. Like it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, they don't even have it listed. We don't know the distributor. Great. Perfect. This is baffling to me. How did, like, the result isn't baffling to me. I'm baffled at how you didn't put like any marketing behind this. I ranted about this on my channel throughout the entire year, because when Aria of a Starless Night was coming out, they released 4 trailers throughout that year of release. They announced it, released like a 30-second spot the day they announced it, about a year before it came out. You know, 3 months later, there was a little teaser, 3 months later, another teaser, and then 3 months later, there was like a big old trailer. And then the movie came out, you know, a few weeks later. There was hype building. And while it wasn't the biggest marketing campaign ever, it clearly paid off with, you know, them making about $1 million in its opening weekend. I think that Sword Art Online can make a bigger opening weekend because it's Sword Art Online. It's one of the biggest IPs in anime. I think that film could have easily opened to a solid, you know, $3 or $4 million if they played their cards right and they knew how to market properly. But the problem is they don't. And this is the biggest factor of one of my biggest hot takes is that I don't like anime trailers. And the reason why is because anime studios don't know how to market their stuff. When you're marketing your stuff, maybe their stuff does great in Japan, and we know it does. We know that their stuff does great in Japan. We know that we see this, every time I do an Otaku Experience, we see, this film is now one of the highest grossing films ever in Japan. They're always shattering records over there. This film was number one in theaters for this long, shattering records. It was this number one of this month, shattered a new record, whatever, constantly shattering records. But over here, we don't even know this movie's coming out. I'm one of the biggest SAO fans you'll find on YouTube. I didn't know this movie was coming out. I mean, I knew it was coming out, but if you had to ask me what the release date was like 2 weeks before I saw it, I wouldn't be able to answer. I didn't know. I didn't know. They didn't tell me. 2 months before, I didn't know. If you asked me halfway through 2021 when the first movie was going to come out, Aria of a Starless Night, I would say December 1st. It's coming out December 1st, and I'm excited for that Friday. Cannot wait to see it, and it releases, in October in Japan. And I knew that. I was very excited. I was counting down the days. It was my most anticipated film that year. They made no effort to market this movie. And when your movie, one of the biggest anime IP in the world, can't even open to a $1 million debut, and it's a sequel to a movie that people liked, and it's one of the biggest anime IPs in the world. You did something wrong. That you can't blame that on the audience. The audience just didn't want to see it. And you know what this means? They're going to take the wrong lesson from this, and they're not going to promote the next movie. I wouldn't be surprised if they canceled the progressive movies right here. How goofy do you have to be to not put? I can understand, Sword Art Online hasn't had the greatest experience with fans. It's been a very controversial anime. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. I can understand with the first movie being a little, cautious with your marketing. But once you see the success of that film, and once you see how much it makes, in America, and how much it makes in Japan, and you see the response to the movie, which is the biggest thing, the response to it, the people who saw it really liked it and saw it multiple times. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know how you get to this point where you just don't. Did they run out of money? Because y'all over here making Kaguya. And Kaguya just released a movie. And it's not just because Sword Art Online is one of my favorite anime. It's one of, and I keep saying this, it's one of the biggest anime IP, one of the biggest light novel IP in the world. And the fact that we can't even get to the point where when a movie comes out, a feature film based on one of the biggest anime, manga, light novel IP in the world comes out, it can't even make $1 million. That's not on us. There were people there who were excited. The fact that nobody went and saw it is not my fault other than the opening screening. I'm seeing it again on Friday, but I wouldn't be surprised if this film is completely gone from theaters by Sunday. By Monday, it's no longer playing in theaters. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Because it's not making any money. And they're going to pull it out of theaters and be like, oh no one wanted to see it. And maybe that's why they fast-tracked the Blu-ray. I mean, you could argue that they haven't fast-tracked it, but if they did, maybe this is why. Because they're like, oh, no one wanted to see it in theaters. Drop it in on physical media. Drop it on Crunchyroll so people can see it. This is just baffling to me. It's this type of stuff that makes me not want to be an SAO fan, because this comes out and then SAO looks bad. And then me being an SAO fan, everybody's like, why are you an SAO fan? Why are you a fan of that franchise that is goofy and doesn't know what it's doing? I know it doesn't know what it's doing, and it irritates the fire out of me. But I can't do anything about it. I don't work in this industry. It hurts especially because it is my favorite anime of all time. you know, it was my first anime that I watched, and it's my first ever real anime experience, and it'll always hold a special place in my heart. And I love these characters. I love this world. I love the theme of the world. This is one of, if not my favorite anime character of all time, Alice from Sword Art Online, who is basically what this show is about. It's the coming together of artificial intelligence and technology and the human will and human intelligence and coming together. And she's literally the product of that. She is an AI who is given a robot body that is like a human, and she's out there living in the real world to be kind of like an ambassador for the AI advancement. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself, and I don't want to just keep ranting. I don't want to be negative about this. I wanted to see this film make more than the first film, even though I didn't like this film. I wanted to see it do good because I want to see Sword Art Online do good, even when I don't like what Sword Art Online's doing. When Sword Art Online War of the Underworld Part 2 came out, and I was not having a good time in the middle of that arc, and I was in the slump of it, and I was like, this is kind of mid to me. I didn't want people to stop watching it. I wanted everybody else to love it. And I was jealous. I envy those people who love this movie, who were talking about it on Twitter, like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing it for my third time, and I can't wait to see it. I'm like, I wish I had that experience. I wish. I love Sword Art Online. It's my favorite anime, my favorite world in anime, my favorite characters, my favorite themes. But we got these buffoons running it into the ground because they don't know how to run this. I wish that Sword Art Online, I honestly wish that Sword Art Online would end, that it would be canceled. Some other studio would pick it up, or heck, do what Attack on Titan did and transfer from WIT to MAPPA, except instead of transferring from, it wouldn't transfer from WIT because it's under A1 Pictures and Aniplex. Transfer it to someone else. If you don't want to deal with this anymore, if you don't want to deal with this IP, give it to someone else who will deal with it properly. Give it to WIT. Give it to Cloverworks. Give it to MAPPA. Give it to Trigger. This is just baffling to me. I don't understand why. I like that. That's literally all I can say. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Like, wow. Wow. Okay. Anyways. All right, guys. With that being said, we're going to now go to your comments and questions. Once again, if you want to get a comment or question read by me on the show, then hopefully next time I'll be a little less angry and a little less ADHD. We can talk about that. Just go down in the comment section below and let me know what you think. This comes to us from Cooper Wood. He said, great stream. I'm glad R&B has brought you on board. I'm not into anime, but I love having younger voices to identify with on these channels. Well, Cooper, I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to be on the show. I love Robert. And I'm glad that he's brought me on board as well. I'm sorry that you're not into anime. We're all wrong on some level. No, I'm just kidding. It's all subjective. Some people just don't gel with, the anime style, and I completely get that. If there's one anime I could recommend to you that's not like normal anime, I would say watch Wonder Egg Priority. A lot of people dislike it in the anime community. I think it's freaking brilliant. It was my anime of the year of 2021. I would recommend to go check that out. Okay, Eric Glasgow. I love the Battle Angel Alita film. It follows the manga storyline with few changes. The manga was my very first manga as a kid. I didn't really like that movie. I thought it was just kind of meh. It didn't really have like a story to me. It just things just kind of happened. And then it set up a part 2 that never came. And so it was a very, very underwhelming experience to me. But I thought the fights were great. I thought the CGI was amazing. I'd be open to a sequel if James Cameron was a little more involved, but I don't see that happening considering he's got so many Avatar movies to make. Next comes to us from Carmelo Smith. I have faith with this One Piece live action just based on how the production is going and the dedication by the people working on it. I'm glad you feel that way. I honestly, I can't be excited. Netflix has done too many things. Death Note, Cowboy Bebop. I'm sure I'm forgetting other ones. Yeah. I'm cautiously No, not even. I was going to say I'm cautiously optimistic. No, I'm really not anticipating it. I need to see the trailer. I need to see the trailer before I come up with my thoughts on that. Thanks for the question. Mike Litteris. Oh, man. I'm glad I split up your name because, that'd be bad. It's very funny. Congrats on the show. Always cool seeing others succeed. I grew up in a Christian household too, but we were allowed to watch Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh was a no for us, lol. I remember one day at school I traded a stack of Pokemon cards with my friends when I got home, and I found there was a Yu-Gi-Oh card mixed up, and so my mom burned it. Wow. Yeah, you sound like you have a great mother. No, I mean, listen, but that's the case for all of us, isn't it? I mean, when you grow up in a Christian household, and it's not like a bad thing. I mean, I'm sure in some extreme cases, it's a really bad scenario. But in most cases, I think they just want to protect their kids. They just want to protect us. And so they just do their best. And there's no such thing as a perfect parent. And they hear something about a show and they don't have the time or they don't have the interest to go check into it themselves. So they just say that you can't watch it, and there's nothing, we're probably going to do the exact same things and our kids are going to be ranting about us in the future. So no worries about it. But thanks for watching the show. And bro, man, you almost got me with your name. Luckily, I'm smart. Roberto Suarez. Yo, Roberto, what's up? Awesome work, King Tannic. My anime of choice growing up were Mazinger Z and Gatchaman. Fuerza G in Puerto Rico. I now get introduced to a bunch of modern anime through my kids, though some of it is a bit difficult for me to follow. Would love to have you take a look at some of those old school anime from the 70s and 80s. Definitely. There's so many anime that I cover on my channel that are seasonal based shows. I cover usually between like 7 and 14 shows, depending on the season, maybe more. And then on top of that, I love going to movies. I'm writing a script right now. I've got this show. I've got my channel to run. And then also with a personal life, it's very hard to find time to, watch a bunch of the old classics. But I'm trying. I want to keep doing that. I watched all of Bleach last year. It was great. And so I'd love to get more into those stuff. I haven't even finished Evangelion, and I started that years ago. And I haven't even finished it, so I'd have to finish that first. But thanks for the comment, and I would love to talk about some of those shows. Maybe if I ever find time to watch something, give me some recommendations to check out. Explodium Leo. As an older watcher, I still find myself going back to anime now and again. It's admittedly very much a guilty pleasure, a true roller coaster of trashiness, self-fulfillment, intriguing ideas, heart-filled moments. There's a lot of harping about verisimilitude on this channel, and I think it raises a rather important point, as the appreciation of this medium has more in common with schlock film than other animated genres. In other words, each of us have an internal BS tolerance level that invariably dictates when and where a show loses its believability and or viability, ranging from the depiction of adults behaving like squirming teenagers to the introduction of badass little girls that are secretly vampires piloting giant mechas, to the peak fiction of the unfathomably thirsty childhood friend. As it is for schlock film, it is difficult to discuss anime shows and score them objectively, as the amount of credulity that can be stretched can be so different per individual. I'd like to say that it's an acquired taste, but here we are discussing Girls Bravo and The Witcher Mercury in the same breath. Anyways, this is a great first stream. I'm looking forward to the next one. Cheers. Thank you, Leo. Wow. What a great comment. Wow. You're absolutely right. I don't rate anime on a scale of 1 to 10 anymore. I don't rate anything on a scale of 1 to 10 anymore because I think the number score means different things to so many people. So I have my own rating system, and the rating system goes from lowest to highest. It's Abomination, Painfully Average, McDonald's, Fantabulous, God Tier, and then at the very top that no one ever gets is Supreme. And Supreme means like you're one of my favorite shows of all time. There's things like there's things that mean different things. So like Fantabulous, I would say is like, this is a decent show, like an actual decent show. God Tier, I would say that this show resonated with me personally, and I loved it. Supreme is, you're one of the greatest things ever made. McDonald's can transcend different to different spots. It can go like below fine. It can go above Fantabulous, whatever. And that's usually like a show that I'm like, it's like a guilty pleasure. It's like, I shouldn't really be enjoying this to the level that I am, but I am. You know, you have Fine, you have Painfully Average, which I'm sure are self-explanatory, and the same with Abomination. But thank you for that great comment. And yeah, man, I can't believe that we mentioned anime like Girls Bravo and The Witch from Mercury in the same breath. It's crazy. If I don't read your comment, it's not because I didn't see it. I've read every comment in the past week and today, and a lot of them are just, I love the show, I'm looking forward to more. And while I really appreciate those comments, I can't read, 20 of those in a row before we get to comments where people are actually saying some stuff. Also, in the future, I'm probably not going to read as many comments as I am today. So I'm probably going to read only the top rated comments, or the comments that I find super, super interesting that I want to comment on. But yeah, I would still love to hear all of your thoughts, simply because I'm pressed for time and I actually have to end the show here in a bit. So this comes to us from Jess Lath. Nice to see someone covering anime. Good luck in your Japanese learning journey. Well, thank you. I hope you can get a native speaker to teach you. That's really helpful. I need a native speaker to teach me English, to be honest with you. Honestly, I'm not into any anime, that you talked about today. Whoops, Sword Art Online. I've seen seasons 1, 2, and maybe 3, I think. I've also seen Gun Gale Online, and while I did think that those were interesting, after a while I just stopped watching it, mainly because it was getting a little old and tired for me. I can get that. There's more. Let me finish this first. Also, I think my taste in anime changes from time to time. I watched more anime like Naruto but have expanded to things like Go 13. I'm old, I know, but I still love it. I watched most of the anime I could get my hands on, but my favorite is the manga. Devilman Crybaby on Netflix is so good. Of course, the newer ones like Spy X Family, Arifureta, Bofuri, and That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Overlord, love this. Japanese Tales of Macabre, Monster, Miracle-chan, Cells at Work. Both normal and black editions are a lot of fun. Kakegurui, AOT, of course, etc. One thing I have a problem with now is I've watched so much anime in Japanese that listening to it in English or Chinese is strange to me, even though that is the native language of the anime. But I'm slowly changing that, trying out more anime in other languages. One thing I have a problem now is I've watched so many anime in Japanese. Well, English or Chinese is the native language of the anime? Are you talking about like Avatar or like Xingwan Dairin, where Xingwan Dairin was a Chinese show and Avatar is an English show? Is that what you're trying to say? Anyways, yeah, great comment. Thank you for that. And yeah, anime tastes change a lot. Sometimes I'm in a rom-com binge where I'll just go back. I'll just seek out different rom-coms. Sometimes I'm in a super depressing binge where I'm like, give me One Direct Priority, give me all the really sad shows now. And then other times I'm in a like a shonen binge. I'm never in an isekai binge. Isekai suck. But you mentioned Sword Art Online. The thing about Sword Art Online is season 2. Sword Art Online is like the Star Wars movies for me. So season 1 is a lot like the original trilogy. I love it. I think it's great. Season 2 is a lot like the prequels, where there's a small fandom that loves season 2, but the majority of people hate it, including me. And then I like the Mother's Rosario arc, but that's about it. And then maybe season 3. Season 3 is the Alicization arc, and then it kind of goes into War of Underworld. I consider that season 4, but everybody hates me when I say that. But it is what it is. I can see how Sword Art Online can get kind of grating and you can kind of see a similar retread of things. But to me, what Sword Art Online is about isn't even the game. The reason why I love Sword Art Online so much is the issues that Reki Kawahara, the author, tries to tackle in each thing. With the original Aincrad arc, it was about love. It was about finding love in the worst scenarios. With the Alfheim arc, it was about accepting yourself and the imperfections you have while trying to grow forward in those imperfections. In Gun Gale, it was about getting through PTSD or moving through a difficult trauma, things like that. I really like when Reki does that character work, and he just kind of packages it in this shonen, isekai type of stuff to get people to consume it, and I think it's pretty genius. And sadly, guys, that's where I gotta call it this time. I got to wrap this up, or else the show's not going to come out on time, and then Rob will kill me. And I also have other stuff I need to do. I'm also very, very tired, and my throat hurts. water. Yeah. But yeah, let me throw some comments and questions into the thing down below, and I'll try to include those next time, and I'll maybe record them separately or something. I'll find a way to include them because I want to include you guys into this show as well, because it's not just me. Let's not make this about me. This is about us. This is about the anime community. This is about the Otaku Experience. And the greatest part about the Otaku Experience is that we have the community as well. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Otaku Experience. If you want to see more of me, you can see me on my own YouTube channel, King Tannic. I directed a documentary, Voices of Central, that we are actually doing a watch party on this very channel on Saturday, I believe at 5 p.m. Sometime. I don't know. You can find it on the channel. I forgot. And then also, I'm on Midnight Musings a lot because I'm usually like the fastest person to enter after Leyland our leave. So, you know, it is what it is. You'll see me around. I'll be popping around. I'll be throwing in super chats here and there. I'm everywhere. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram. Just type in King Tannic and you'll find me there. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this episode of the Otaku Experience, and I hope to see you guys next time. We need to come up with a better flowing outro because this is very, very bad. Anyways, goodbye.